The movie opens in a medieval castle. We see a princess lying unconscious in a tower room, her wrists bound in iron shackles, and guards stationed outside. When the princess finally wakes up, she recalls the last thing that happened. She smelled something strange and passed out. She's been asleep ever since, and now she's just come to. She starts pacing the room, trying to find a way out. But the tower is impossibly high, with no visible escape. Suddenly, she hears guards approaching. Thinking quickly, she lies back down and pretends to be asleep to see what they're up to. One of the guards tries to touch her, but before he can, she jumps up and punches him. The second guard laughs, mocking her for being just a girl. After all, they're both trained warriors. But what they don't realize is that while they're underestimating her, she's already managed to unlock the shackles using her own skills. She launches a surprise attack, catching them off guard with her combat prowess. She pulls a long hairpin from her hair and stabs one guard in the eye. The other one charges at her in rage, but she fights him off too. As their battle gets intense, she drives him toward the window and knocks him out of it. He falls to his death from a tower. Just then, a third guard approaches. The princess grabs a heavy mallet and ambushes him as soon as he enters, taking him down. She searches his body, finds the key, and escapes the room. As she makes her way down the tower, she sees through a window her father, the king, her mother, and her little sister Violet, all tied up and thrown to the ground. Standing over them is Julius and his assistant Moira. Julius mocks the king, telling him, "This is all your fault. You made this kingdom weak, but now I will rule, and I'll kill you and your entire family." However, before he does that, he declares that he must marry the king's eldest daughter to become the kingdom's legitimate ruler in the eyes of the people. Until then, he orders that the royal family be imprisoned. The princess watches everything from above. Guilt washes over her. She remembers how it all started when she agreed to marry Julius against her will, but she couldn't go through with it. On the wedding day, just as Julius was about to put the ring on her finger, she ran away. Now, she blames herself for everything that happened to her family. As she's watching, a massive guard enters the room she's hiding in. She quickly ducks out of sight, but accidentally makes a noise. The guard hears it and begins to investigate, but shrugs it off and walks out. As he leaves, she quietly follows him, but he was waiting for her at the door. He grabs her, lifts her off the ground, and starts to choke her. She fights back with everything she's got, but he's just too strong. Thinking quickly, she uses her surroundings, making him crash into the wall several times. Finally, she uses his own helmet against him, smashing it into his head and taking him down. Meanwhile, Julius finds the body of the guard who fell from a tower. He immediately suspects the princess, noting that the room he fell from matches her tower. He orders the guards to spread out and search the entire castle. But the princess knows this place better than anyone. She grew up here. She slips into hidden passageways and secret tunnels within the castle walls. Avoiding detection, she makes her way through the underground routes, eventually reaching her old room. There, she retrieves her sword. She flashes back to her childhood, training in combat with her mentor, Lin. We see a younger version of the princess learning to fight. Lin introduces her to a man named Kai, one of the king's most loyal advisors, and also Lin's uncle, a legendary warrior himself. Kai helps train the princess alongside Lin. During a particularly tough session, the princess manages to hold her own against both of them. After the training, Kai presents her with a sword, the family blade. He tells her he had always planned to give it to a true warrior, and now she's earned it. Back in the present, the princess grips that very sword, her determination renewed. It's time to end this. She begins sneaking through the castle, using the same secret routes she learned as a child. Eventually, she reaches the chamber where Julius is staying. She carefully plants her sword in a strategic position in the wall, ready to strike when he walks past. But just as he approaches the trap, a guard enters and calls out, "My lord, the king wants to see you." Julius and Moira go to confront the king. The king is clearly heartbroken over the state the kingdom has fallen into. Julius accuses him of betrayal, but from Julius's point of view, the king is the real traitor. He promised Julius his daughter's hand in marriage and went back on his word. While they argue, the princess is trying to escape from where she's hiding. She runs into a heavily armored guard and does everything she can to fight him, but nothing works. So she throws alcohol on him, then tosses a lit candle, setting him on fire. Screaming in pain, the guard stumbles backward, crashes through a window, and lands right in front of Julius. Moira sees this and says, Whoever did this knows their way around the castle. It has to be the princess. She orders every available guard to spread out across all levels of the castle and capture her alive. They still need her for the wedding ceremony. Guards swarm the castle. Eventually, a group of them spots the princess. They clash, but she takes them down one by one. No one can get close to her. She runs, only to face another squad and defeats them too. But more guards keep coming. Soon, she's surrounded. Her arms are wounded and bleeding. Desperate, she looks for a way out. There's only one, a window. She leaps and grabs onto a large hanging banner, using it to scale the outside of the castle wall. Carefully, she makes her way across the stone ledge until she reaches another window and jumps inside, finding a room to hide in. She quickly wraps her wounds, trying to stop the bleeding. While catching her breath, she remembers the day she found out her father wanted her to marry Julius. She had refused, but the king insisted. He only had 2 daughters and no male heir. If he died, the crown would pass out of the family. He pleaded with her not to be selfish and to think of the kingdom's future. As the memory fades, the door to the room creaks open. Someone is coming. The princess readies her blade, prepared to strike. But just as she lunges, she realizes it's Lin, her former trainer. "I'm here to help," Lin says. "We're going to save the kingdom together." The princess asks Lin what happened the night she ran away. Lin tells her that after she refused the marriage, Julius attacked the palace by nightfall with a full army. No one was prepared. They took the city easily. Julius vowed to punish her and her entire family. The princess asks where her family is now. Lin tells her they're locked in a cell near the kitchen. They'll have to pass through there to reach them. The two sneak toward the kitchen. Inside are 3 guards, but the princess and Lin swiftly and silently take them out. Just when they think they're in the clear, Mora appears, using her whip to engage both of them in combat. She manages to snare the princess by the neck, ready to kill her, until Lin cuts the whip and tells the princess to run ahead and rescue her family. Lin stays behind to fight Mora. The princess races down the corridor and reaches the cell. 3 guards stand watch. Alone, she defeats them all. For the first time, the king sees his daughter fight, and he is awestruck. The whole family is overjoyed to finally be free. The princess tells them to follow her so she can protect them. Suddenly, a guard strikes her from behind. Everything goes black. When she wakes up, she's in the throne room. Julius stands before her. Her hands are bound, and her entire family is restrained beside her. Mora enters, dragging in Lin, who has been captured. Julius glares at the princess. "This is all your fault. If you had just married me, none of this would have happened." The princess stares him down and replies, "I'll marry you. Then I'll kill you in your sleep. You'll pay for what you did to my family." Enraged, Julius orders the guards to execute her. He turns to the king and announces that he'll marry the younger daughter, Violet, instead. At that moment, the princess looks over at Lin, and they silently understand each other. The princess makes a sudden move, attacking the guard next to her to cause a distraction. Lin seizes the moment, grabs Violet, and runs. A guard grabs the princess and throws her out the window. She plummets into the water below, bound and unable to swim. As she sinks, she starts to give up. But then she remembers the words of Lin and Kai. "You are a true warrior. You must never give up." With renewed strength, she breaks free of her restraints and swims to the surface. She makes her way back to the castle, only to find another guard standing in her path. Before she can react, a statue falls on him, crushing him. She looks up. Violet and Lin are there. Violet had pushed the statue to save her sister. The 3 of them hurry to a hidden safe room built for the royal family in times of siege. It's fully stocked with weapons, armor, and supplies. Lin and the princess arm themselves for the final battle. They tell Violet to stay put. This is too dangerous. Meanwhile, in the throne room, Julius has gathered the nobles and priests to perform the wedding ceremony. But the priests insist that Violet must be present for the ceremony to be valid. Julius grows impatient and orders his guards to intensify the search. At that exact moment, the princess and Lin arrive. They begin cutting down the guards standing outside the throne room. Mora steps forward. This time, she's handling them herself. Inside the great hall, all of the king's advisors are tied up, hands and feet bound. Suddenly, they're stunned to see Violet crawling toward them, clutching a knife. Among the advisors is Kai. He takes the knife from her, cuts himself free, then helps the others. He rises and shouts, "Now, everyone fight back." The first to move against Julius is the king himself, but Julius strikes him down with his sword, injuring the king badly. Meanwhile, outside the hall, The princess is still locked in battle with Moira. With skill and determination, she manages to defeat her, using Moira's own whip to tie her up. Then, without wasting a second, the princess rushes into the throne room. The moment she enters, she's hit with a double shock. Her father lies wounded, and Lynn is dead, killed in a fierce duel with Julius. Fueled by rage, she charges at Julius, but he proves too strong. He overpowers her, wounds her legs, and instead of finishing her off, he drags her before the gathered crowd of citizens. He stands tall, holding her in chains, and declares, "Here is your princess, kneeling before your new king. Obey me or suffer a fate." He begins proclaiming himself a mighty ruler, better than the old king, promising strength and control. But the princess sees her chance. With one swift move, she grabs his sword and finally kills him. The hall falls silent. The king slowly steps forward, takes the sword in his hands, and declares, "Today marks the birth of a new ruler." The bells of the city ring out all day long. Turning to his daughter, the king says, "I've never felt prouder than I do right now. You restored our family's honor and gave the kingdom hope again." He thanks her for everything she's done. As the princess smiles, overjoyed, she suddenly hears the best news yet. Lynn isn't dead. She was only wounded, and she's still alive. The princess rushes to her and throws her arms around her. The two embrace, full of relief and pride. At last, the princess can say with confidence, she truly is a warrior. And with the kingdom finally restored and the princess standing tall as a true warrior, our story comes to a close. But if you've come this far, if you fought beside her, held your breath through every battle, and felt every victory, then this is your moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter. Because in this world of heroes, villains, and hidden truths, the story is far from over.